And welcome back. Still watching the late edition here on SABC News Channel. Just a few moments ago, we were in conversation with Dr Henk Boshoff, Commissioner at the South African Human Rights Commission, where they held hearings on particularly human rights violations at various municipalities in the Free State, found to be one of the worst municipalities in this regard. Dr. Boshoff, just before we had to, interrupt that conversation, you were talking about what you saw as inefficiencies, particularly in resource allocation. So what is the deeper root cause of this? Inappropriate service delivery models and oversourcing of programs in relation to administration or corporate functions, or what is the reason that is impeding some of these municipalities from delivering support services, particularly to institutions, to ensure that they perform at a level that is acceptable and in line with these human rights that they should enjoy in the Free State?
Yeah. Well, I think there are many factors to be so, and many of these factors are systemic in nature. You'll find these factors, in many of the provinces in the country. We have conducted service delivery inquiries in other provinces as well. This is the fourth service delivery inquiry that we have conducted. The others were in KwaZulu-Natal, in Mpumalanga, and also in Limpopo. But as you and I tried to discuss the finance model of local government, and the mere fact that it's very difficult for municipalities to generate their own income through residents. Many residents cannot afford to pay for their services. Municipalities have to rely heavily. In fact, they only rely on grants provided to municipalities by provincial and national government departments. But then there are also other factors such as the skill level of employees, of municipal employees, is just not at the level that is required to provide a professional service to municipalities. Many municipalities, and I would say probably the majority of municipalities, do not have professional engineers in their service, and you need professional advice when you provide services like water, sanitation, landfill management, etc. And then, what we've also seen, and that is very concerning, especially with elections coming up, is the issue of political instability in our municipal councils, where more than one political party would influence and in cases negatively influence decision making, especially with regards to the appointment of Section 56, 57 employees. Those are your heads of department. And what happened in some municipalities is that those municipalities have been without heads of department, senior officials, for up to 2 years. An acting municipal manager would be appointed, and then under that municipality under that municipal manager would be your middle managers or your lower level managers, having to implement decisions.
So, Dr. Boshoff, and I appreciate you just laying out in terms of the legislative imperatives, but I want us to explain to, South Africans at large, your role as a Chapter 9 institution, in line with the Constitution, for instance, your intervention. What exactly does it mean if one looks at certain sections of the constitutions, whether to do with the Children's Act or Elderly Persons Act? What powers do you have in service delivery, where can you intervene?
Well, one of the main reasons so why we decided to conduct these inquiries was because of the number of complaints that we had received from ordinary members of the community over a long period of time. Just for this financial year in the Free State Province, for example, the Human Rights Commission has received approximately 800 complaints to deal with, to investigate. Of those 800 complaints, I would say between 80 and 90% of those complaints relate to local government service provision. Now, we are the custodians of human rights in the country in terms of the Constitution. We have to promote human rights. We have to protect human rights in the country. But when a complaint is lodged with the Human Rights Commission and we investigate that complaint and we find that there is substance to the allegations made, we have to find redress for the complainant, for the complainants. And we can do that either by, engaging with the municipalities and talking to them nicely and hoping that they would implement our recommendations. But in terms of our act, we may also assist a complainant financially to litigate against a municipality, or we may bring an application against the municipality and litigate the municipality to find redress for the community. So does that litigation end in a prosecution for instance, criminal acts? Because some of those human rights violations at municipalities that you've been speaking about, raw sewer flowing into our rivers and affecting the health of citizens, the bucket system, that seems to me as a criminal act with relation to the basic human rights of these citizens. Yes, the Department of Water and Sanitation has been very visible in opening criminal cases against municipalities in the country, not only in the Free State. I'm aware of 3 accounting officers in the Free State Province who have been charged, for the sewer spillages in some of the rivers. The Vaal River is one of the main rivers where we have seen sewer spillages in the river. There's also the Reed River, the Falls River, many rivers in the Free State. And when we conducted the inquiry last week, we also sensitized the municipalities. We made them aware. We said to them, are you aware of the criminal charges that have been laid against these municipal managers? Go back, fix the problem, and ensure that the same does not happen to you. So, yes, criminal charges have been laid against some accounting officers in municipalities. And that is, one of the ways that legislation allows for redress.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Much appreciated, Dr. Henk Boshoff, just speaking to us about the South African Human Rights Commission and the hearings that they held in the Free State regarding service delivery disruptions and human rights violations there.